Hi everyone. I made this simple setup with structures I already found made by other people on the web. Just assembled a few well-known structures to show what the cover-up operation will be like at Fukushima power plant. Here you have the four mainly troubled reactors, and here you have the other two ones. So this is the plant, and here you have the Colosseum, the two copies of the Pyramid of Giza. Giza, I don't know how to say it, and you have the State building here in the back. So yeah, you get it. Yeah, it's a big mess. They've had explosions, so they've had fires, and they've had leaks. They've had to pour water on top of the pools, on top of the fires, on top of the nuclear reactors. They've been pouring water into the reactor. They've been opening valves. There have been leaks. I already said that, and it's just a big mess. And there is a huge amount of this stuff, because that's the word you should use. Or you could say the entire periodic table, if you know a bit of chemistry, of radioisotopes that has been released into the atmosphere. And you will hear mainly people speaking, talking about cesium, iodine, and strontium, mainly cesium and iodine. And it's just a big mess. Okay, people, and myself as well, just talk and they don't know what they're talking about. For example, you always hear the amount of radiation compared to Chernobyl, it's been said that it's been released only 10% of the radiation released by Chernobyl, so it's been classified as a 7 level disaster on the INES scale, which measures the radioactivity as the equivalent in iodine radioactive materials. I mean radioactive isotopes. So you compound all the radioactive isotopes and radioactivity released, and you compute this radioactivity as if it was iodine, and you get its very big calculus that no, it's not that complicated after all. That just tells you more or less how bad things are. Okay, I'm not very into all this, but just to give you an idea. So iodine, and well, you always have been hearing in the last weeks that 10% of Chernobyl, but still it's just scale 7, but it's just 10% of Chernobyl. But they don't take into account what's been going into the ocean. So did somebody even compute the whole amount of leak? They don't even know it. They can't know. The only way to know it, okay, at the end of all this, you pick up what's still there remaining and you make a subtraction. It's very simple. Okay? You started with X, you lost Y, at the end you have X minus Y. So it's very simple. Make an equation. It's very dumb. But you will probably never see such a calculus, because it's a big mess, and they're gonna have to just cover everything up at a certain point. They're gonna try to pick up, probably, I hope I'm wrong, but they're probably gonna have to just take away what's still there and cover the rest. So here you go. Colosseum, the Pyramids of Giza, and the Empire State Building. Okay, just to give you an idea. And But one thing I want to say, I got a bit, it turned out to be not so clear. One thing that I really want to say is that radioactivity, it's something that doesn't give just the plain radioactivity, the sieverts. It doesn't give you an idea, the measure of sieverts, of how bad things are actually, especially if, as TEPCO did, is if the Japanese media did, if you compare the radiation here, the sieverts that you can measure around this plant with the radiation that you get from flying in a plane, okay, that's just, it's just pulling people by their nose. It's just wrong, because when you have dust, when you have radioactive stuff, isotopes that gets into your lungs, that gets into your food, okay, and when you have this stuff that just gets into the chain, it goes on your skin, it turns out to be more dangerous because it sticks. It becomes part of your body. It sticks to your cells. It sticks to your tissues, and it just, in certain cases, it lies there. In certain other cases, it's concentrating in organisms. It concentrates in the food chains, and it accumulates. It's called bioaccumulation, biomagnification. And so we're pretty high in the food chain. And what happens is that unfortunately, we end up having a lot of specifically certain isotopes accumulated in our body in a quantity that is superior to what you just measure as an average in the environment. Also, with the fallout, what happens is that these elements, and many of them are heavy, not all of them, but many of them are heavy, very heavy, they fall down. It's called fall down. It's a well-known concept, fact. They fall down and they stick to the surfaces. They stick to the surface of the earth, okay, where all the living organisms are. And living organisms themselves, as I just said, they accumulate this stuff, and it's just a big mess because it just gets onto our tables where we eat. Okay, and they accumulate, and certain times they accumulate in certain organs, like I should say well-known way. Iodine accumulates in our thyroid, and accumulates in our thyroid because our thyroid produces hormones. It's probably the only hormone, I think. There are more than one. Only hormones that have iodine. Iodine accumulates here, and what it does is that since it is an isotope, it's not the normal iodine. It irradiates your gland, and it destroys it. It's even used in certain. It was more than trying not to use it, but they still use it a lot. It's useful in certain cases because it burns your thyroid. So certain people that have an excessive function of their thyroid, they need to be cured, and they get pills or I don't know, injections with this iodine to destroy their part of the gland. Okay, it accumulates here, all of it gets here. Okay, and then it goes a little bit around as hormones that contain iodine. It's called thyroxine. Anyway, okay, big mess. And another thing, I often hear people saying, oh, cesium is 30-year half-time, so maybe 30 years we can go back. Well, yeah, 30 years half-time, but what if you have 400 times the normal amount that a family should have in their environment, okay, before declaring that they're going to risk their lives and their progeny, which is horrible, just mutating your DNA in a way that just gets into your progeny. You know, maybe you're born without your arms because you're certain genes that regulate the growth of your arm. And I know these things. I'm not making them up. Okay, I've studied these things, and I can say I know these things. Certain genes, they just disappear. They're just regulated in the wrong way, and you're born without your arms. Okay, just imagine you have a son that he gets born without his arms, and then he because he has this mutation, and maybe his son will have, it's going to have children that way, which can happen, fortunately. Okay, possibly, and maybe even the progeny will not have the arms. Okay, this is a exaggerated case, but it gives you the idea. Okay, it might be just a mutated protein that gives you immunosuppression or autoimmunity or whatever. I don't know. It's just anything. I know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know which one particularly, but any one of your genes, of your group of genes, can be modified by these radioactive elements, especially cesium, in a way that it affects your progeny. It affects your progeny. So it's horrible. I mean, why do people like this kind of energy? Just dig a hole in the ground and look for what we're sitting on. We're sitting on a huge, hot ball. Hot, huge, Earth, hot, very hot. Okay, and it's just irradiating infrared to the space. We're losing this energy. It's going to Alpha Centauri. It's just going nowhere for billions of years. We're not going to kill aliens by using geothermic, whatever it's called in English. Excuse my English, energy. So it's just to give an idea.